Teamster Power 767 Reality Check with Jeff Schenfeld and Garfield Hooper. How you doing today? This is Teamster Power 767 Reality Check. I'm Jeff Schenfeld.
And I'm Garfield Hooper.
Today we're going to talk about inspection privileges. This is really for the stewards, okay? They're allowed to come to the building on any shift, any time, to inspect for anything, safety issues, supervisors working or whatnot. Now, specifically, this is Article 24. It says authorized agents. Now, over the years, people have said, oh, authorized agents are business agents. No, they're not just business agents. It would have said business agents if it was just business agents, okay? So it's, and labor lawyers have said authorized agents are stewards.
Yep.
So at the beginning, it specifically says authorized agents of the union shall have access to the employer's establishment during working hours for the purposes of adjusting disputes, investigating working conditions, collection of dues, and ascertaining that this agreement is being adhered to, provided, however, that there is no interruption of the employer's working schedule. So for years we've been doing this, coming in early, and we start looking around, we see the egress issues, just horrendous, right?
Yeah.
Just egregious.
Yeah.
And there was a point where they would come up to us, oh, what are you doing? Where's a control number? You don't need a control number. This is for all the stewards out there. They come up to you, management, and say, oh, where's the control number you're looking for? No, you don't need a control number. What you have to say is, we're here investigating supervisors working, egress issues, and other safety issues. They ask you where, you say the whole building.
Yep.
You don't have to be specific, because it's around the whole building.
Yeah.
And it was a problem for a little while, but then we kind of cleared it up. We had to understand this is it. I mean, we're allowed to. And you know what it looks like when they're trying to say, "Oh, you can't be in here." Looks like you're hiding something.
Yep.
That's exactly what it is.
Yep.
And we know that to be the case, but that we haven't been bothered about that for a long time, stewards. But
McKinney several years ago, and honestly, it's ongoing. And I'm sure any steward listening to this is going to be able to name off a couple of dozen drivers that do this, or a couple of drivers at least come in early and massage their load, or
off the clock.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
These guys,
Yep.
some of these guys will come in here and work 12 hours just so they can get paid for 8.
That's the most ununion-like thing to do.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But we have some drivers. We have some drivers that do that, and we had some issues with supervisors working. And one of our drivers was like, you know what? I'm gonna start filing on all these supervisors working. So he was coming in early and seeing them. Other drivers and stuff were coming in. He started filing grievances, and the management approached him and said, hey, you can't come in the building before up until like 15 minutes before start time.
Yeah.
And I said, that's fine. So then stewards started coming in early and started doing it, and said, you want to file these grievances? We'll get the information. We'll give it to you.
Yeah.
And he'll file he files the grievances. Management gets pissed off. It's one of those things. It's like, as just a driver, I mean, they can tell you that you don't need to be in the building until a certain time. But
yeah,
as a steward, like, if you want to get up and come in there at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning,
yeah,
and make sure the supervisors aren't working, do it. You can, if you get up there 7 o'clock in the morning, and you see a supervisor touching packages, be like, hey, I'm here. I'll do that work.
Yeah.
And if they say, no, you've got to drive today, I was like, okay, well then that's,
yeah,
that's time. You can just walk around and observe them. And that's a good way to make a little extra bank.
No, it is. It is. But you gotta, and like I said, we've talked about this. Buildings have the extra work call. Why aren't you using the extra work calling list?
Yeah.
Why are you working when you have a list?
Yep.
Well, we called in 3.5 drivers, obviously being extreme.
Yeah.
But you need to call the whole list, and then and that's that issue, and then the egress issues. It's just we're holding them accountable. That's it. I mean, there's safety issues all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
And we're allowed to. That's what inspection privileges is.
Yep.
We can do that. We're authorized agents of the local.
That's and there's a lot of stewards out there that don't exercise those rights, and some of those stewards don't even know they have those rights.
I know.
And that's kind of the point of this podcast, is making sure people get those, get that information and know that you have the right to do those inspections. If you need to write something up, if you have questions on how to deal with this, contact your business agent. Be like, hey, this is what I see. I decided to show up to work at 7 o'clock this morning, and this is what I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And the business agent can, tell you how to approach that. If it's filing a grievance, or if the business agent needs to call somebody and get something figured out.
Mm-hmm.
But as a steward, you have that right to.
Absolutely. And we're not gonna let them hold us back and say no, you can't do
Yeah.
this. And most of the time, like they tried that years ago, they wouldn't let me and one of the other guys who was coming in early, one of the other stewards. So they said, oh, okay, we're gonna call the police. Okay, I mean you don't want it to where they're calling the police and you're getting taken away in handcuffs.
Yeah.
Up to that point, you're gonna push it, and they walked us out through security. But what we did,
Yeah.
we stood by the gate and watched them let anyone in.
Yeah.
We had a list of about, I don't know, about 100 drivers, 100,
Yeah.
just, okay, so you're allowing them in, not us?
Yep.
Now we're
Yeah.
getting into disparate treatment
yeah,
there,
it's
right?
disparate treatment.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's like they're not going to win that one,
Yeah.
because we know what they do. They just, well, we're going to hold them to it. Just
Yeah.
like anything else, we hold them to
Yeah.
every single thing in the contract. So, but next, we want to go on to Weingarten Rights.
Yeah. If people don't know about this, then they certainly need to read up on it. I know when I became a member, I was given a little laminated card by the
Yep.
union that I keep in my wallet.
Mhm.
But it's important to know your Weingarten rights.
Absolutely, no question.
This was a right given to us by the Supreme Court by a Supreme Court decision in 1975. It was first articulated by the courts in the case of NLRB versus J. Weingarten. In that case, the court found that Section 7 of the NLRA protects employees who refuse to submit to certain interviews without a requested representative present.
Okay, so, and it started off as a Supreme Court decision,
Yep.
right? You had to establish that. So then we got the Weingarten Rights came from that, and this is exactly what the Weingarten Rights state. If this discussion could in any way lead to my being disciplined or terminated or affect my personal working condition, I respectfully request that my union representative or steward be present at the meeting. Without representation, I choose not to answer any questions. Now, that's important. And a couple of things. They'll try to get you on the side. They'll try to talk to people. Hey, what about this? But you don't know what that's going to lead to. Anything that you say and they'll probably use it against you. So no, you always should have a steward, and that's your right.
Yep.
And especially when you're being called into the office, you have the right to choose your steward that you want, as long as they're in that building and
Yep.
they're available.
Yep.
That's always been understood. Management, that's an understood thing. So I mean, it's. Have you ever had that issue? Where they tried not to let them, in your building?
The only time, actually, I remember about this issue last year. I was in a hearing with another driver,
Yeah.
and the center manager didn't like what I had to say. Didn't like the way I was saying it,
Oh.
and he tried to tell me, well, you need to leave. And I was in the middle. I was in the middle of a hearing with him,
Yeah.
for discipline.
Yeah.
And he went down and grabbed another steward and brought him in. He's like, you don't need to be in here. Like, you need to go, and
Nope.
he'll represent him.
Nope.
And I looked at the driver, and I said, who would you rather have representing you, me or him? And he said, you. I said, then I'm not going anywhere.
Absolutely. Not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
And then they disciplined me for
what?
failure to follow instructions.
But they actually violated you at
Yep.
at the same time.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. A lot of maybe managers, supervisors will just try to say certain things, but they really don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not saying all of them don't. I'm saying there's a lot of them who just try to make up their own rules.
And a lot of the times that you'll get a message in the board that says, hey, I need you to come in early.
Yeah.
Tomorrow morning, or I need to talk to you in the morning, or see me after you get off work, or after when you get in the building.
Yeah.
And a lot of drivers will be like, do I need to get a steward? And they'll be like, oh no, you don't need a steward. And I was like, the question, you don't even need to ask that question.
Yeah.
Like, as far as I'm concerned, if you're coming in and you don't have any pressing matters and she wants to talk to you or they want to talk to you,
Yeah.
then you sit around and wait for a steward to get off.
Yeah, and just make sure you let them know
Yeah.
that I would like to exercise my Weingarten rights.
Yeah.
I would like representation.
Yeah.
That's it. Nothing is said.
Yeah.
Nothing. You don't have to say a word. You will not get in trouble.
Yeah.
As a
And
matter-
if you've
yeah.
got one of those cards, you just pull it out of your wallet and show it to them.
Yeah, it's funny because in New York, everyone had those cards, and the brightest, I think it was like fuchsia. right? All of a sudden they see it start coming out, and that just, it's like, oh no, here it comes, I mean, but that's it. It's a simple thing, and it's all right.
Yeah.
And the company's going to try to use anything and everything against us.
Yeah.
And they don't always go about it the right way, and we need to have our representation.
Yeah.
So I think that was really important.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, I think we just covered what we want to cover today for this episode.
Yeah.
This is Teamster Power 767 Reality Check. I'm Jeff Schenfeld.
And I'm Garfield Hooper. Our experiences deal largely with the Southern Region Supplement. This is just an information podcast, and if you have questions, it's best to contact your local steward or business agent.
And remember, strong people stand up for themselves, but the strongest people stand up for others.